top 10 strongest starting nations in EU4. Obviously, one of them is going to be Mamluks. Now, Mamluks, if I had to place it anywhere, I would place it as a strong B on a tier list. Why is Mamluks a B list? Well, because it does have a lot of manpower. It starts with 32,000 maximum manpower, starts with 34,000 units in the field. It's a strong nation overall, massive economy, easily can crush the Ottomans very early on in the game. If you attack them before they get military tech 5, you easily crush them. That's one mistake a lot of people do. They don't attack the Ottomans before they get tech 5, and then they get tech 5, and then they're like asking me in the comment section, "Oh, Ludi, but I don't understand, so hard to kill Ottoman as Mamluks." Every single one of my Mamluks guide, no CB Byzantium, attack the Ottomans. That's literally your first 2 wars right there. This way you kill the Ottomans from day 1, easy peasy afterwards. Next up, Castile. Castile, I would say, is an A on our tier list. Why is it A? Not only is it super great economically speaking, you have a lot of cash. You also start with the gold mine in La Mancha. You start with 27,000 manpower and as well as 24,000 units in the field. Easy PU against the Aragonese, easy PU on the Portuguese whenever you want to. Easy expansion into North Africa and in the Italian parts, and most importantly, you get a massive colonial empire to support your endeavors if you want. If you're smart, you let the Portuguese get the colonial empire for you and you just PU them, and then you integrate them. The missions are absolutely amazing that Castile has, massively on the A list. Up next, obviously the Ottomans are gonna be an S tier because obviously the Ottomans are overpowered. They got the Ottoman government type, which makes it so they can actually recruit the Janissaries, and by getting the Janissaries you essentially have infinite amounts of manpower because Janissaries do not take up your manpower, so you can recruit them as long as you got the military power points to spare. Another thing is the fact that the Ottoman government type makes it so whenever you get an heir, you have 3 options to choose from, so you can get really good leaders. You can almost always guarantee having a 555 or 656 or something of the sort. You start with a lot of troops as well. Easy expansion path into Anatolia, into the Balkans, into Europe, into Arabian lands, into the Muscovite lands or Russian lands, and even into India if you want to go for that, in North Africa. Their central location is massively overpowered when it comes to expanding, and it's probably one of the easiest nations to restore the Roman Empire for that matter. You have to become either pagan or Christian if you want to do that though, so keep that in mind. Their mission tree, despite not being massive, gives you a ton of claims and modifiers that help out so much. Make sure to take advantage of that as well, and that's why they are an S tier country. England obviously is an amazing nation. It starts with a bunch of actual development, 338. It's the 3rd biggest great power at the start, but it starts with a bit of a debuff. It has a 000, a looming civil war, the War of the Roses, and the French are going to take your lands if you're not careful enough and you don't know how to protect them. But that being said, you can choose to fight the French and get the PU over the French, or to just split them up and eat them up with the vassals from Gascony and so on, and that way you have a massive amount of land in France and you're basically ridiculously overpowered. Or you can choose to go colonial or play toll. That's an option as well. It's extremely nice because playing as the English, you will always be the richest country in the world. They start with the 24 total income, but after you consolidate the English channel and you dev up and so on, you can get massive amounts. I mean, I'm talking about thousands of ducats in the 1600s from the English channel. I would call this an S tier country for sure. France, definitely S tier, 100% S tier. They start with 5 vassals, which makes them insanely powerful and can very easily get the cores that they have on the English land. So this is basically a lot of development. You don't pay to core these up. You instantly get these as your lands after you conquer them. An easy expansion into Brittany, can get the Burgundian inheritance. Easy expansion path into the south, into Italy, into the HRE if you want to. Or you can kill off England and get the English channel for yourself. That's also an option. Even can go colonial. At the very start, France is probably the strongest nation out of all the European nations. I would say a lot stronger than the Ottomans and the Mamluks in my opinion, if you take into account the various vassals and the amount of manpower and the amount of economy that the French have. One debuff that they do have is the fact that they have really shitty fort locations. Like they have mostly farmland forts like Paris, Chartres, Haute-Poitou, and even Carcassonne is not really great. So if they had it in Carcassonne, it would have been nicer because it's a hills and it's harder to take, right? This is good though in Lyonnais, which is also a hills, and it's always a good idea to build a fort in Auvergne, which is a mountain fort, and it protects most of the south parts of France. Next up is Poland. Poland. Poland is massively underrated in my opinion. They get the instant PU over the Lithuanians at the start. You can get other PUs later on as you go along. You can get PU over the Hungarians, PU over the Bohemians, subjugation on the Teutons. Well, you get the free vassal in Danzig. You literally don't take any aggressive expansion from taking all of this land. You get the event and you get the union, the march over Moldova, and then easy expansion into Hungary, easy expansion into the Balkans and into Muscovy, and the position is great also for expansion. You can also play toll. Most of your lands here are farmlands, grasslands, so great land for playing toll. You start with the good monument here in the Krakow, which gives you 2 extra merchants, and because you're basically a land power, the 2 extra merchants from there are going to come in massive handy, so great to have them. So all that being said, Poland is an A-tier country. Up next is the Austrians. Despite starting with only 18,000 units, they are the HRE Emperor, which means that your maximum manpower is 66,000, and you also get the monies from the HRE and so on, the gold mine in Intal, which if you bring it up to 10 development, you get 6.66 ducats. You can get the gold mine in Keb, the gold mine in Hont, and the gold mine in Kosovo. So you can have 4 gold mines within the first 5 to 7 years, and that essentially means you're going to be ridiculously fucking rich. Lots of manpower, lots of money. You have the option of reforming and restoring the Holy Roman Empire, so that means you're going to have all of the HRE nations a part of you, or you can keep them as vassals and have the vassal swarm. So this is a massive S-tier country right here, Austria. Yeah, you get a PU over Poland or the Commonwealth if you wait, or otherwise Poland and Lithuania if you PU them. All right, let's go a little bit into the Russian lands. And Muscovy, again, a nation that starts with 5 vassals, super strong nation, easy expansion path. Once you take Novgorod, Kazan, Great Horde, you have all the money in the world that you need. You can get your money filtered from the Siberian parts and your main trade node in Novgorod and get rich from that. And you're always going to have manpower. You're always going to have free units from the Streltsy, and you can lower the autonomy. You can suppress the people. So just like modern Russia, it is an absolutely overpowered nation when it comes to manpower. Has an easy time expanding. I think in the start of the game, expansion wise, 3rd country overall when it comes to how fast it can expand, not taking into account hordes, of course. So I'm going to give the Muscovites S tier list. Speaking of hordes though, Oyrat is the #1 country when it comes to playing wide, and when it comes to pretty much anything at the start. They are ridiculously overpowered. To put this into perspective, as the Oyrats, despite only having 17,000 units at the start and 10,000 manpower and a pretty shitty economy, you can get all of North and Ming from an event, and then you can kill the mandate from a 60 to 0 again from an event by just capturing the Ming Emperor. And you do that by defeating the Ming Emperor in battle. So you defeat an army that is commanded by the Emperor of Ming or his son. I think it works for 2 characters that have the last name of the emperor. And afterwards, you just snowball. Within just a few years, you can even do a world conquest. People have done world conquest super fast with Oyrats, and it's basically the same with all of the hordes. But Oyrats is especially good because of that event that it has at the start with Ming, because of its location. You also have 2 gold mines next to you from the beginning. You have the mine in Kucha and the mine in Guje. The one in Guje was added in 1.33, so it's the 2nd mine in Indian subcontinent. Well, technically, it's not the Indian subcontinent. This is the Tibetan plateau, so I guess India just has the one in Mewar. Very easy to get the gold mines. You can also get the one in Bashrikia. To be fair, you don't really need much else because you're going to get most of your money from looting, raiding, and raising. You got another gold mine in Ming if you want, so pretty easy to get all of these as well. Oyrat's obviously S tier, massive S tier. Let's go for Ming next. Ming is powerful, but can lose it all when their mandate is below 50. If the Ming mandate is below 50, then you essentially become a paper army. Your troops are going to take a lot of shot damage, take a lot of fire damage, and I have to say that they are just completely Schnitzeldorf, not good for anything. If you do manage the mandate, you can be insanely strong. Once you do your reforms, you can get a lot of bonuses from them, or you can just get rid of the mandate by doing the strat that I showed in my Ming video. I would say Ming starts as an S tier country, but can very easily either stay an S tier country or go down to a C tier country if they're not careful. Another nation I want to say is Bahmanis, massively underrated as well. Super strong army, good manpower pool, well, decent manpower pool. Bahmanis, super strong early army and decent economy, super fast expansion path. I think my last stream as Bahmanis, this was in 2020 when I was streaming on YouTube. I managed to get all of India by like 1500s. Within 40 years, I got basically everything here. They also get get a couple of special events that help them out with that, and they also can take a massive advantage of the cores that certain countries have. So you can vassalize countries around, use their cores, use that for super fast expansion, like Mysore and Madurai. Basically, look at this. Madurai's got cores on the entirety of the south tip, so you just take one province, release Madurai, feed them all of the cores in the next war, and you do the same thing in pretty much all of the wars. And you also start with your own cores on Vijayanagar, so you can declare the war from day one. You get like 100 development from these provinces here, not to mention these areas. They're like almost all 3 dev up to 5 dev, so it's literally almost no aggressive expansion from taking this shit, especially since all of this is its own culture. So once you kill everybody from this culture, nobody cares. They get less aggressive expansion because it's not their culture group. So that's why Bahmanis is definitely an A-tier country, same like Vijayanagar, because it's basically the same country, just a different religion. That's why the achievement they have is also intertwined. So if you guys enjoyed this tier list, don't forget to leave a like and let me know in the comments if you want me to do more videos like these. Also, check out this awesome video over here.